Hola, buenos días. Y voy a hacer la presentación en inglés para salvar un poco sobre traducción de español a español. To start, thank you very much for having me. Very interesting to see some of the earlier presentations from today, and I think it just reinforces some of the messages that I'm probably going to speak about. So when I was asked to present and to speak specifically about what is the role social media plays in insurance distribution or insurance buying decisions, I have to admit, I am not a social media, fan or user, or, I might have had a Facebook account. I might have checked if my ex-girlfriend was married and happy. She was. I deleted it. I'm not very active on the platforms. And so when I started looking at it, and I started looking at what are some of these platforms, and I said, yeah, great. This is more complex than I thought. And there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of social media management and different platforms and Facebook and Twitter, and how clients are engaging, how agents are engaging. So a lot of the focus that I'll give you is probably much more focused on the large ones, so Facebook, Twitter, and also the hypothesis that I started with when I started working on some of this was, we work with a lot of different clients in different parts of the world, and a lot of times we're specialized in distribution, and one of the things that comes up is, well, can you sell our products via Facebook? Can you get, on social media, can we have this really, really efficient, massive channel? And so my starting point in this was really to look at, okay, well, is it a massive sales channel that's going to start emerging and growing? ReMark runs a global consumer study where we work in 14, we take consumer-level survey in 14 different markets, which makes up over 85% of insurance distribution worldwide for when you take those markets together. And we look at different things such as which products are they buying, how are they buying, what kind of view they have on underwriting, which are they taking advice? Are they not taking advice? How are they using internet search? How are they using social media? So some of the data that I'm going to present, is based on this global consumer study. So the first thing I looked at, and just so for everybody's information, I did look at the Spain-specific data, but I knew there were people coming in from outside, so I'm presenting more of a global overview. So in terms of, what are the current channel usages? Current channel usage, probably not going to be very shocking. Independent brokers, financial advisors, banks, much more heavily skewed in Latin America for bank assurance, obviously given the models that you have over there. Agents, some direct. And so if you look at if you go into specific lines, you will obviously have a few lines that are a little bit more heavier for certain types of distributors. You will have, obviously, if you look at auto and you look at certain markets like the UK or even Holland, I live in Holland now, it's a great place. So in even Holland, it's much more skewed towards online or aggregators or direct buy. And then when you have much more complex products, life products with asset management advice, well then, it's much more of a broker or a tied agent. So then we looked at what role, how do consumers, if you ask consumers in the future, how would they be buying their products and what would they, how would they be purchasing? And I was trying to see if I can find a golden nugget. The truth is, from what the consumers tell us, there's not going to be a major shift globally over at least the next year and probably the following year in terms of which channels they're going to buy from. So then I started looking at how do they actually get information? And this started getting quite interesting because when you start looking at how people inform themselves, it comes very much in line with some of the earlier presentations that we saw throughout the day. People get information via different sources, and that's becoming harder and harder to control where your client is going to initially start the journey. And the way that they get information and the way that they transact ultimately may differ. And so we saw how a customer journey, they might get information from a friend, they might go on social media, they might go on the web, they'll go on a provider website, but they might buy from an agent that provides services from another website or another insurer. So it's very hard to kind of keep a gauge on, in terms of where exactly the client's going to ultimately end, or how, or where he's going to end the journey. And we are seeing, so if you look in the future as well, where do people believe? Because they can't, you know, you're only once you source information can you affirm that you've gotten that information. But people do believe that there's going to be an increase in social networking usage, in internet comparatives, in financial forums, so people are getting savvier and savvier in terms of how they collect information. So if I sum it up, because there was quite a lot of data there, in terms of the actual purchase data, you know, very similar to current and future from what the consumers tell us. And in terms of sources of information, the future does seem to provide a bit more provider website, a bit more interaction in terms of internet usage, internet searches. Social media accounted for less than 7% of responders. So, you know, is it for the majority of clients a major transactional platform yet? Well, you know, not really. So then we specifically have data on the appetite, if you wish, towards social media. So if you ask somebody if you can use social media, and we looked at different product lines, so I took life insurance, and so if you were to, what is your view of the usage of social media with life insurance? The red says, you know, essentially no social media. And it's not, probably not surprising that the older the population, the less inclined they are to use social media for maybe certain, for more complex products. The other ones, you know, pretty much for research. So the majority of them would say, look, for life insurance, I probably wouldn't use social media, or I would use it for life insurance. It might be a convenient purchase, but data says that they're not actually really purchasing tremendously via those means. It could be a purchase, and you know, some of them don't know. So if social media isn't yet a major transactional platform, okay, what is it really used for? What is the influence of social media in the insurance purchasing decision? So, you know, we started looking around in terms of different companies, different, you know, work that different insurers are doing, and some very interesting ones, for example, you know, Progressive. For any of you who know the American company Progressive, very strong above-the-line marketing, a lot of marketing spend. But what's most interesting, if you do a global search of the highest amount of likes on Facebook, Progressive is the one that ranks #1. And the major reason that Progressive ranks #1 is it's not that, you know, well, maybe they wouldn't like me saying this, but it's not related to their, you know, products and services. It's actually quite related to a character that they've spent quite a bit of investment in. So somebody of, you know, the character's Flo, and people associate with Flo. So in the US market, a lot of people know Flo. So a lot of commercials have her information. You have a lot of social media, advertisement. There's a webcam. You could see her live. You know what's happening with her life. So it's a character that people really identify with, and so people are interested in Flo as a character. And so, you know, they'll have the Progressive T-shirt. So the brand gets reinforced, and social media is a very, very strong part of the strategy for reinforcing that brand. Another brand is Allstate, where there's a character called Mayhem. I'll talk about Mayhem. I do have a clip of Mayhem that I would like to show you. All good presentation as a video, if they can pull it up. Or else I'll pretend to be Mayhem. Yeah.
I'm a big old bag of fast food trash. Nature lover here has had his fill. Now, he wants to set me free. Oh! And if you got cut rate insurance, you can be paying for this yourself. So get off! So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Mayhem is everywhere. Are you in good hands?
Okay. So obviously the there's a lot of investment. Very interesting. I love that commercial. It's like driving in the La Carretera aquí in España. It's a joke. So what they do with Mayhem is different commercials, a lot of on the same theme, and again the brand recognition, the relationship with the brand, with the character is quite strong. So if another significant investment, a company that's doing quite a bit of work in terms of social care is AXA. And they have a dedicated site. So if you look at, again, if you measure it by Facebook likes and presence, the most important site for AXA is actually AXA People Protectors. And what they do there is that it's not an overt selling of their products and services. It's really about projects that they're doing in different countries, how they're helping certain certain causes, how certain products that can have that are helping for safety, for driving safety, that are innovative. People post that kind of information. They share it. So it's really a way to present your end client. So obviously there's a recognition that it's AXA. There's the brand is kept in mind, but it's a very strong platform for social care. Is it efficient from a marketing standpoint? Can you actually do some good Facebook marketing? Yeah, absolutely. And there are companies. There's a lot of companies that are doing very targeted marketing via Facebook. Aviva is one example. If you go onto the Facebook business page, you get some case studies. Aviva is one of the case studies. In terms of doing, instead of doing, Google AdWords, if you do it via Facebook, it's a lot more targeted. You could do a cross-match of emails. You can get the information. You're able to target clients very specifically. I think the big issue with this is that it's very nice, it's great, but the volume that you get out of it is usually just very complementary to your traditional traditional channels, and it's not going to do away with your more important channels. Number 4, and believe it or not, I had not met Chris previously. I met him only yesterday at dinner. I was in Boston last week, and I met the Hearsay Social people. I found it very interesting. I won't give you more advertisement, but I found it very interesting in terms of what could be done from an agent advisor standpoint in terms of engagement, in terms of providing content. A lot of times agents, a lot of you who are either running broker networks or tied agent groups, the agents are not really visible. I saw the presentation this morning from Generali. I think it's great, some of the work that's being done in terms of investing and making the agents a little bit more visible. And last but not least, using social media data to communicate at the right time. And this too has been spoken about quite at length. If you're on social media, it's an interactive platform. You get information from your clients. As an agent, you're connected with your clients. There's trigger events that, it might seem like a little bit of kind of stalking, commercial stalking, but there's trigger events that make it more interesting for the agents to be able to contact their clients and say, hey, congratulations on your new child, congratulations on your marriage. I've reviewed your protection recently, and I noticed that you haven't been, that we haven't updated. I'd like to take some time to speak to you again and review it. So those are kind of the 5 key areas where we see that social media is playing a very important role. I was very curious about Spain specifically, and so I looked at, we did do some research in terms of different brands. And unfortunately, I don't think you can see I can't even see from here, but I looked at the most important Twitter brands, the most important brands being followed by Twitter in Spain specifically. And probably not surprising, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Alejandro Sanz, El Papa, Enrique Iglesias, Rafael Nadal. I was hoping to find an insurer there. And so then I said, okay, great, so if Rafael Nadal is number 10 and he's got 8.6 million, who's the next insurer, who's going to come up? There's still a little bit of work to do. I think Phoenix Directo is the one who came up at 31,000 followers, and the lowest one had 6,000 followers, and that's number 10. there's it's probably still an industry that has some work. I am happy to say that I did some additional investigation today, and I saw that Luis and Carlos from Community of Insurance have 2,500 followers between them, and that number is increasing, hopefully to get to the 10 million like the Pope. Thank you very much.